Well, welcome to episode 4. We have another 4 games to look forward to, this time on Wednesday. We'll hear from regular contributor, former Chelsea and Brighton footballer Gary Chivers, and some very special guests will be on once again. Now, we're happy to support the LilyWhiteFoundation.com here on the podcast, advancing young people through sport. For more information, visit LilyWhiteFoundation.com. So, the 4 games coming up, Matchday 4, Morocco take on Croatia. That gets the Matchday 4 underway, followed by Germany versus Japan, then Spain, Costa Rica, and finally Belgium versus Canada is the game in the evening. You're listening to the Ultimate Football Show podcast with Gary Chivers and Chris Barnett. So let's hear from Gary Chivers once again on Matchday 4, and we're going to start today with Germany, who always seem to bring their A-game to major tournaments.
They'll be organised. Yeah, they've got some good players who are come alive on the night. The decent side, Germany, when they put it together, and they're always, they do it every 4 years where they don't look like any good at all, and all of a sudden you see them in the warm-up matches and in the group stages, and you think it's not a very good German side. But when it comes to the tournaments, they always perform.
They always seem to have a midfielder. They've got Thomas Muller, who's obviously nearly as old as we are, but he does deliver in the big games. Kai Havertz, we've said earlier on, delivers in the big games as well. And they've got fast forwards, wingers that that will really be hard for the opposition to stop. And if they can get crosses in, there'll be people in the box coming in from midfield in the old Lothar Matthäus style to knock the ball in. So they'll get it done, won't they?
Yeah, I mean, and they've got Werner, haven't they? The pace of Werner.
No, he's out. He's injured.
Oh, he's out, is he?
Yeah, he's another one that he got injured in the last game of the season for Leipzig and not gone.
God, that's a downer for them.
So the new person that's got to be offside in every other attack is now Kai Havertz. Has been given.
He did like being offside, didn't he?
He picked up the rosette.
Every time he went forward, then that flag went up, didn't it? It was just,
I don't know if there was a lack of translation, but VAR is VAR in German as well. Just stay behind the line. It's not that difficult.
But if you remember, Chris, he wasn't just half a yard, was he? Sometimes he was like 4 or 5 yards.
But sometimes he was 1 inch offside. And I'm just thinking, if you're a coach and you coach kids and players in football, you just say to him, when you're going to run, just go 1001 and then run. All you need to do is just 1 second later, because he was fast. He is fast. So he could still get to the ball, but he goes too early. But he's not going to be no one more offsides in the World Cup this year because Timo Werner's not there.
Right. That's a blow to him.
Yeah.
That must be a blow to him. But yeah, with Kai Havertz, and he's just before he went to the World Cup, was playing quite well for Chelsea. Seems to have found his feet after a long time.
And their keeper's back as well now, Manuel Neuer, who's a monster, isn't he?
Well, monster, but what a person to have in goal.
Yeah.
The stature of him to have in goal.
He's a sweeper keeper, isn't he? The traditional.
Just brilliant. Yeah. He's just, whatever you say about him, he's brilliant. Yeah. He just looks massive in his hands. Good goalkeeper.
They always said about Sepp Maier. Do you remember Sepp Maier had massive hands, and he used to wear gloves that were even bigger.
Yeah.
Make him look even bigger.
Yeah, but they do that.
Yeah. Psychological,
yeah.
I guess.
Definitely.
So Germany up against Japan in their opening game. We expect them to win that. Morocco, Croatia. That's a tough one. I think Croatia might do well in that one. What about Spain? We haven't really mentioned Spain a lot. They play Costa Rica in match day 4 as well. I don't know. Who are Spain used to be fantastic. What a midfield they had over the last few years, and they were tiki-taka football. They were passing it around all over the place, but those days seem to have gone now, don't they, really?
It does, and it don't seem any really outstanding players coming through. I mean, they got Ferran Torres and Alvaro Morata, who used to play for us. Do you remember that?
Morata,
yeah.
Yeah, I remember he scored a hat-trick at Stoke.
His first 7 games, he scored 7 goals. I think he He was right up there with the top goal scorers in the Premier League. And then after that, it just all went crumbling down. And,
They've really declined, and they're not getting any youngsters through either, are they, really?
No, they haven't, no.
So they play Costa Rica, and then our favourite team that we don't like, because they always fall out with each other, and we love watching them, Belgium. They play Canada in the evening on Matchday 4. De Bruyne, you said, is the best midfielder in the world, and I don't know, you can argue with that. There's no argument, is there?
No, you can't. Him with the ball is like it's like a magician, really. The way he spins the ball, the way he connects with it, he's everything. And you can see even with the City players are obviously great players, but they all want to give him the ball. They just want De Bruyne on the ball, because he's the magic. When he goes out wide left or he goes out wide right, he can pass the ball with the outside of his boot, the inside of his boot, and it is inch perfect. It's incredible how he does it. The precision on his balls and the way he plays is brilliant.
I looked at their squad, and he puts up who's captain, who's vice captain, and De Bruyne is third captain. He's third captain. He's not vice captain. He's not the captain. It's
third captain. You've got a third captain. So if the first one ducks out,
well, the first one's Eden Hazard, so he's probably going to be injured.
Will he play though, Eden Hazard?
He's got to. I mean, this has got to be his
last
season, isn't it? Yeah. He's not playing for Madrid. He said he won't move in January in the latest interview. He might move in the summer. I think it's an understatement. He'll be off quicker than the shuttle. He'll be off somewhere. He ain't sticking around, is he?
But then you got Lukaku.
Yeah.
What's going to happen there? So you
got Trossard as well.
Trossard's done brilliant, I have to say, for Brighton. Looks lively. But when you mention Kevin De Bruyne or Eden Hazard and Romelu Lukaku, Trossard's behind that.
And Axel Witsel always seems to play well for Belgium. I don't know what he does for his club team, but for Belgium he's always there, and he always puts his foot in as well, doesn't he? So.
But they always have a row, don't they? They always have a row. They have a fallout. Yeah. Is it Martinez the manager there? Yeah. Good luck with.
I mean, honestly, if you were his agent, you must be thinking, how on earth did they get him that job?
Yeah.
How did they get him that job?
No.
And they found out Wigan and said, hold on a second, do you fancy coming to be in charge of Belgium? And could you bring Thierry Henry with you, who's also not Belgian?
Yeah. I don't understand that. No, I don't understand that. I don't understand Thierry Henry. But if Thierry Henry's there, surely he'll have effect on Romelu Lukaku, wouldn't he? To get him running, just to get him moving.
He's an enigma. Lukaku's an enigma because I just don't understand him. Because he'll run with the ball for 20 yards, hit it with his left foot, top corner. Run with the ball for 20 yards, hit it with his right foot, bottom corner, and then 3 yards out, he'll miss it.
But I don't think he understands himself. To be quite honest with you,
no.
I mean, because when he first came back to Chelsea, he was something else. He was scoring goals. Remember the goal he got against Arsenal when the guy was trying to pull him back, had all of his shirt, and he still managed to score. And I thought, wow. He wants to be back playing for Chelsea. He wants. Then the next thing, he wants to be back in Milan.
Well, the thing with these footballers, they keep doing interviews, don't they? And we've had the Ronaldo one that's coming out. Lukaku did an interview saying how much he missed Milan, and he'd only been at Chelsea for 20 minutes. What part of your brain says that?
You know what? When you look at it like that. And say it like that, it is amazing. But surely your agent must be saying, or is the agent saying, "Well, say that, and we get a move, and I'll make a few more quid."
He just joined for 90 odd million, though. Yeah. The agent had got his dosh, he got his percentage. I mean, you must have played with some footballers that were on the missing a bowl of cereal from the breakfast buffet. You must have had a few around you.
Oh, there was loads. There was loads. Yeah.
I remember seeing a story from one player who went to his manager and said, "I'm skint. I've run out of money." He said, "How can you run out of money? We've been paying you checks every month." And he'd been giving the checks to his wife and keeping them in the drawer at home. They hadn't put them in the bank. That's in the old days when you used to get paid by a check. They put them in the drawer at home, thinking that all this little certificate we've got, and it's his check. And he was running out of money, and there was like, I don't know how much, 100,000 in the drawer.
I remember years ago, and when I first became a professional footballer at Chelsea, we used to turn up at the airport. You turn up at the airport, and someone would come and take your cases and check them in for you, and then someone would take your passport and then do that for you. And you used to go to the VIP lounge, so you'd be sitting in the VIP lounge. And then all of a sudden a drink would come over, a Coke or an orange juice, and then you go on a plane and you go somewhere. And it was like that for years and years and years, until I went to the airport one day and I thought, wow, who's going to take me bag? Who's going to take me passport? So I thought, and after that, I always took my own bag and checked my own bag in. Well, because otherwise how are you going to learn? You know, I mean, there's people at the club. You know, I'll do the corporate entertainment at some clubs. They say, "Did you want someone to take you around to the tables for you? Do you know where the stand is? Do you know where the east stand is? Do you know where the west?" God, just find out for yourself.
Well, wasn't it Phil Neville that famously said, when he was manager somewhere, they said, "Go and put the kettle and make a coffee for everybody," and he said, "I don't know how to make a cup of coffee because I've never made one in my life," and this was when he'd retired. Never made a coffee.
Terrible.
I told that story to my wife, and she just looked at me like, "Well, what's the difference between you and him?" Which I didn't think was very nice at all.
I know what my wife would say to me, I'm telling you.
Yeah, but we can't broadcast that.
It wouldn't be like that, no.
Right, so we've got Belgium to beat Canada.
Oh, yeah. That'd be 3-4, 5-0.
Oh.
It'd be up like that. If Canada get a shot on target, and I can't name one Canadian player.
Wayne Gretzky.
You've pulled that out of the bag, haven't
That's
you?
pretty
You've pulled that one out of the bag.
Are you impressed with that?
I really am impressed by that, because I would have been here for a couple of hours.
Problem is, he retired 50 years ago and he played ice hockey. You're listening to the Ultimate Football Show podcast with Gary Chivers and Chris Barnett. Well, Canada, they're going to be one of the outsiders in the World Cup this year, but as we've seen so far, what's an outsider? Surprises can happen. Their first game was against Belgium, and Feroze Ali, who grew up in Canada, tells me that football there is definitely more popular than with its neighbours over there in the USA.
Yeah, I definitely think that is the case. And because even though I'm living in the US, I just have the personal attachment to Canada. And Canada is a lot more emotional thing for me because it's the first time in 35 years that Canada have qualified for the World Cup. I'm not going to be too delusional and say something like, oh, we are going to win the World Cup, because it's tough. Even getting past the group is going to be really difficult because we have Belgium, Morocco, Croatia. Croatia is tough, right? But
it's a tough group.
It is, but it's something that really makes me much more relief is the fact that we're playing Belgium when it's not the prime Eden Hazard, it's not the prime Lukaku. The Belgium team has slowly decreased in quality. Besides maybe De Bruyne, Croatia is going to be tough, but I genuinely think Canada can get out of the group because the crowd. One thing for sure, the crowd will be really, really, really spectacular. This crowd is going to be something. Whether a lot of them made it to Qatar, let's see. But I genuinely think Canada is going to or should I say they're going to make it really tough for Croatia and Belgium because the players are there. Jonathan David, who is actually linked with Chelsea, is a starting striker for Canada, and I think he plays for Lille.
Yes, he does.
Yeah. So he's scoring a lot of goals, and then you have Alphonso Davies, who is arguably, you can say, one of the best left backs in the world. But for Canada, he sort of plays as a winger or second. He's there in terms of not being defensive, but he is one of the attacking threats. And I think as a team, it'll be tough. It'll be super tough. But I think they will do decent, you know.
See, Alphonso Davies is 22, and Jonathan David's 22 as well. They are
Yep.
the future for you.
Yep.
One at Bayern and one at Lille, and I know Alphonso Davies is very well looked after, and Jonathan David, it seems to be a real potential future star. So when you've got a couple in your team, that can always bring the others along, can't it, to put them up to a level that you wouldn't normally see.
100%. And with that mentality, because Alphonso Davies just won the Champions League 2-3 seasons ago, and he just didn't win it by being a player on the bench or a squad player. He won it by being one of the best players for his team, Bayern Munich, which is like a big feat in my opinion. I really think the players know what this means to them. They're gonna give it their all. And it's a really special occasion because there are some players out there who sort of like grew up on the same street as me, right? And just seeing them in Qatar right now is just phenomenal. And, you know, we talk about North America, what this means to US, what it means to Canada, because both US, Canada, and Mexico are going to host it in 2026. There's a lot of bright future for both Canada and the US, especially right now, right? Because it's this World Cup, and then in a few years, the next one that we are going to be hosting. So it's a really good time to be, you know, I would say Canadian or American who loves football, or should I say soccer?
Well, we'll go with football. Let's go with football. It's funny because when I was talking to Gary Chivers about the Canadian team, he said he couldn't name one player, and I named Wayne Gretzky as a joke, and he thought it was a footballer for a while. So.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So that's how low they are in the naming standings. Yes. They've got to come a long way. We've got Junior Hoylett is in there, for example, the one of the old timers. He plays for Reading. He's been around for quite a while. Then he's in his 30s now, but
wow,
he could always just turn up and do something spectacular. And we've seen it in World Cups in the past, where a player who's been average and not had a great season just turns up for 5 minutes and changes the whole concept of the game and possibly the group, and that can happen.
You know, 100%. It's something that a lot of older players, they can have their special moment at the World Cup and just turn everything around. But it's the same thing with just players in general in the World Cup. When they get their chance in their moment, you can be a hero. And I think it can be a huge incentive for these guys to know that the January window will be around the corner. And if they want to get their big move or big break, because that's what happens in a lot of international tournaments, right? Some players just shine and they get signed. So that can be a high possibility too.
You look at James Rodriguez a couple of years ago for Colombia. He just had a great tournament, didn't he? And then he got some good moves after that.
Yep. Same thing with Mesut Ozil as well when he was shining for Germany, Khedira. All these things happen. And I don't know if you remember Arshavin.
Yeah, of course, yeah. He played for Arsenal, didn't he?
Yep,
for a long time.
Exactly. So hopefully, Canadians, a few of them get signed up by, who knows, right? Chelsea and other top clubs. Fikayo Tomori, he did not get called up for England, and I personally think Maguire should not have been, but that's a whole other debate.
Well, we both agree on that, so
yes.
That's okay.
Now, Tomori is originally from Canada.
Yeah.
And the fact that Canada, the first in 35 years, are finally going to make the World Cup, and he picked England over them because, you know, he's like, I'm going to do a lot better. I'm going to start for England. Of course, in the next 4 years, he's probably will. But it's just a shame that we could have done with him. By we, I mean Canadians. Like, if we had Tomori as well, that could have helped us so much. And now he's going to miss out on the World Cup, which is such a shame.
So Feroze is optimistic, and maybe he should be as well, which is always a good thing for every football fan, of course. But Belgium, they're going to be a tough opener for the Canadians. And we speak to Frank Khalid now, who gives his thoughts on the team ranked second in the world at the moment. They're the Belgians. What are your thoughts on the Belgian team? Again, looking back as a Chelsea fan, there's loads of names in there that we could mention that have been there and moved on. Courtois, De Bruyne, Hazard, Lukaku, Batshuayi, all ex-Chelsea players, all in the Belgian squad. And I've seen your tweets recently, how sad you've been for Eden Hazard and the way it's gone. How badly has it gone for him at Real Madrid?
You know, he was an amazing player for Chelsea. And every day I see more and more of these little video highlights of him when he played for Chelsea, and you appreciate what a player he is. And I don't think we've got anywhere near replacing him. Sometimes you see a bit of Pulisic does a little bit that reminds you of Hazard, and I don't think there will ever be a player like him. It is very sad, the fact that he's hardly played for Real Madrid for 2 seasons, that he's been injured all the time. Ideally, I would like to see him do well in this World Cup. Whether he will do, I mean, I don't know how match fitness he's got, how sharp he will be. The whole Belgian team, it's not as strong as it has been in the last few years. Hazard not been 100% fit. I think Lukaku's having an indifferent season. I don't even know if he's fit. They're not the same team as they were perhaps in the last World Cup or the Euros. They do have this thing about them that they do they remind me a bit like South Africa in the cricket, where they choke when they're almost there. They suddenly choke. They suddenly fall over, whether it's a semi-final or a quarter-final. Remember the Euros? They were in a great position in the Euros, and they lost to Wales, didn't they? You remember that? Mm. I think they'll do okay, but I don't think they'll go all the way.
So Frank's thoughts there on Belgium and Feroze's thoughts on Canada. After what we've seen with Saudi Arabia and Argentina, who knows what can happen in this World Cup? Well, we are very happy to support the LilyWhiteFoundation.com, advancing young people through sport. For more information, visit LilyWhiteFoundation.com.
I'm Gary Chivers, and this is the Ultimate Football Show podcast.
Well, that's it then for episode 4. Thanks to my guests today, once again to Gary Chivers, Frank Khalid, and to Feroze Ali. We'll be back with episode 5 when the tournament favourites Brazil are in action for the first time. Plus we get to see an interesting Uruguay team, plus the man in the news right now, Cristiano Ronaldo. He plays for Portugal. We'll see you then.